Hi y'all, Austin here with Our World Media. Welcome back to another video, guys. This time I was tagged, so we are going to be doing a book to tag. This is called the Books That Need to Be Adapted to TV or Movie Screen Tag. Sorry, I had to double check the name of it. I was tagged by Kevin Toll. I believe he's the originator of this tag, or he saw it somewhere and picked up and wanted to do it. He tagged I think 10 or 15 of us in this, so I figured, you know what, let's give it a shot and do this. I do have one honorable mention in here. I believe the criteria for this tag was that it couldn't be a movie or a TV show. Well, this honorable mention, it's a documentary. I know there's one out there about it, but I'm not sure if that counts or not. So I don't know. So I'm just gonna throw this in here. I want to start off with an honorable mention. Mankind, Have a Nice Day. Like I said, there's a documentary about this that WWE put out. I don't know how many years ago. I remember when I was a kid, I bought it. It came with a variation of Mr. Sacco with it. It was awesome. The reason I think this could be considered, already obviously there's a documentary, but it's not a full fledged movie adaptation. Like they just kind of talk about what's in this book. I think if they did a full fledged movie of this book, it would be awesome. I think you could have a 2 to 3 hour long movie, kind of like The Wrestler with was it Mickey Rourke or whatever it is, but just start off just kind of going over about mankind and whatnot. Dude, love Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. If you guys saw my review for this, you know that I absolutely loved this book. I would be ecstatic if they made a full fledged movie, like Hollywood movie, about the life of Mick Foley and whatnot. Obviously, he has a second book, so you could probably incorporate that into it, make it even longer. But I just think it would be awesome, to see that. I know they had that show, was it Young Rock or whatever, where they had people, imitating wrestlers from back in the day. I think that'd be pretty awesome, especially the scene where Mick Foley talks about, being at Madison Square Garden and seeing Superfly Jimmy Snuka jump off the cage, and he talks about it in the book how while it wasn't in hindsight the most magnificent jump or deadly thing that's happened in wrestling by any means, it was such a pivotal moment. I think if they could take that and bottle that emotion into that scene, I think it would be awesome. Again, I would hope, and I'm hoping that they will make a full fledged movie out of that. But you know what? If not, I am fine with that documentary. Now, you're gonna notice there's gonna be a couple repeats on this. So let's start off with a Louis L'Amour book. I know, surprise, surprise. I honestly could probably make a whole list here of just nothing but Louis L'Amour books, but I picked two that I think would be awesome. I'm gonna start off with Last of the Breed by Louis L'Amour. This is one, I have not reviewed this for the channel, but I love Louis L'Amour. This was like one of the first. I think this might have been the first Louis L'Amour book that I ever read. Actually, this is one. What's the gentleman's name? Major Joe Mack. I think, and I hope they would change the name if they make a movie. I really do. I think Joe Mack is kind of a cheesy name, but you know what? This would be awesome. This kind of has like a Rambo. Die Hard, Red Dawn kind of feel to it when you read this book. I mean, you have these Soviet Russians chasing down, a Air Force pilot who's part Indian and tracking him in like Serbia or something like that. I think I haven't read this since like elementary school, I believe is where, yeah, something like that. Somewhere over there, I believe, so in Soviet Russia or whatever. I think this would be awesome. The scenery that's in this book, from what I remember, just the character Joe Mack and the people he runs into, and the scenes, the action scenes were awesome. I remember enjoying it very much when I was, again, in elementary school and I read this book. But I think just the ending alone, the cliffhanger isk kind of ending to this book, I think would be awesome. Kind of would be something like out of like I don't want to say a horror movie, but just like a revenge film, if you will. But I think this would be awesome. to see on the big screen. I really do. Even if they did like a TV show, like a 10-part TV show, like on Apple or Hulu or Netflix or whatever streaming services there are, I think this would be awesome. I know I wish I could talk a little bit more about what would be awesome to see on the screen. I don't remember a whole lot. I just remember it being awesome. Next is one I just want to see this. If you guys have seen the Weird Al story, the movie, me and my wife would really like that movie. But you see, like all the Hollywood characters, or even like Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like you see, Bruce Lee. Like you see all these old actors and whatnot. I think this would be awesome just to see for that. And that is Confessions of a Puppet Master, the Charles Band story. Again, if you've watched my review, you know how I talk about quite a few of the actors that he's met over the years and interacted with, And I think it would be awesome to see just the cast of all these A-list, movie stars before they got to be big and whatnot, and just see the ins and outs and the trials and challenges that Charles Band went through. I think it would be awesome to see, on the big screen, that scene where in this book where he talks about how his dad is working on this Western flick over in Italy, and they are staying at the hotel with people that are filming, the good, the bad, the ugly, for a few dollars more or a fistful of dollars, whatever, just to see that I think would be awesome, and just to see, all the different, scenes of them making movies while you're watching the movie, to see them making Puppet Master and all that, I think would be awesome to watch. Next is one I don't think will ever happen. I really don't. I think there's two of these, but I don't think will ever happen. This is the first one, and the reason is it references too many horror icons and horror movies. I don't think they could get the licensing for it, and that is My Heart is a Chainsaw. I think if they honestly took, this entire trilogy, specifically the first book, because I've read the first and the second book, I haven't read the third book yet. There's so many horror references in this book, and I know people are going to say, well, they did it in Scream, and not to the extent of what they did in My Heart is a Chainsaw. I think, people would easily relate to Jay Daniels in this, in the situation that she's in. And anybody that likes scary movies will love this, And I think seeing it on the big screen, just like seeing her imagination come through and like seeing Jason and Michael Myers like walking with her, like I think it would be awesome. To see a different side of that. Again, I don't think it'll ever happen, unfortunately, but that would be awesome to see, to see Jay Daniels on the big screen. I would absolutely love that. I think if they were to get Stephen Graham Jones to write a screenplay, I think he could incorporate very well if they put him with somebody that knew, how movies worked as far as what would or wouldn't fit in a movie, and he and Stephen, Mr. Jones could adapt it as best he can. I think if they were, like I said, to stick with him writing the screenplay, I think it would be awesome to see this on the big screen. I think it would be, I think it could go down as a horror movie revamp for the genre, like what Scream did back in the 90s for the horror genre. But again, I don't think we'll ever see that, unfortunately. Next is one that I know my buddy Jay over at Faceless Book Reviews is probably gonna have on his list. It wouldn't surprise me. And Kevin had quite a few on his list that I would have put, but I don't want to copy Kevin. But I'm sure Jay would. I hope Jay would have this on his, and that is Louis L'Amour's To Tame a Land. This could easily be a tight knit hour and 15-minute movie. If we could push an hour and a half without adding too much fluff in it, I think this would be one of the best Western movies of all time. This would be up there with Tombstone, High Noon, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, just all the, Stagecoach, like just all these great Western movies. I think if they could make a Western movie that appealed to majority of a good portion of the audience, I think the Western movies can make a comeback, and I think something like this would be a great place to start if they were to make this into a movie. I think that a lot of people, I would hope, would go see this, especially you put Louis L'Amour's name behind it. And what I think there would be a lot of, probably not people my age, but there would be quite a few people that would go to the theaters to watch something like this, to see Tyler on the big screen would be awesome. And just to see his journey that he goes through, he is a character that I absolutely like, and just to see everything, on the big screen would be awesome, And again, I'm going to eventually do a review of that on the channel. These next two, I honestly could see happening probably before any of these other ones. We're going to start off with Old Man's War. With, what is it? I have the name right there on my mind, and it's just slipping me. Leviathan Wakes is the first book. What is it, guys? I'm sorry, I got to look here. I know somebody's going to be judging me because I'm looking this up, but needless to say, while I look this up, there are quite a few, sci-fi movies that, or even series, again, that have made it so well with modern audiences that I think it would be kind of a shame if this didn't. Again, I think this is definitely a movie, or would be a movie that a lot of people would like. Aside from that one scene that y'all have heard me talk about and whatnot numerous times. But again, like I said, that book series I was talking about was The Expanse, that has made a huge impact in the science fiction genre and fan base. I think if they did this just right, I think they could definitely make at least, like a European series, like The Office or Luther, where it's so many episodes and then they don't add fluff in, like they extend it just to make it like they stick to the meat and potatoes of the story. I think if they did that with this, that would be awesome. I would really like to see John Perry on the big screen. One that I am going to reference real quick is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I know that there is a clamoring out there for people wanting to see that on the big screen. I think it would be absolutely awesome to see that on the big screen. Old Man's War. I think it would be cool if they took these bigger, science fiction books and made them into movies and stuck to the source material. I think it would definitely, it's not going to be, the Avengers or anything like that big, but I think if they did it, I think they can make a great movie or series out of it. The last one that I'm going to bring up is one I don't think they would ever be able, I don't think they'd have the funds to make this. That's saying something because they made Game of Thrones. I am talking about Gardens of the Moon. I know there's going to be people that are going to be giving me crap because I'm still halfway through the second book. I haven't picked it back up to continue. But I will just say this first book was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. I know this was originally written as like a screenplay for a TV series and whatnot. But again, I think if they absolutely turn this into a series, I would sit down and watch this. I really would. I have no doubt in my mind. That would probably be like the biggest fantasy series ever, movie-wise, or even like a TV show. Like, I think it'd be bigger than Game of Thrones. But that's just my opinion. But that's it, guys. That is what I, would pick off the top of my head right now to be turned into, movie or TV show or something like that. I really hope, they turn all these into full-fledged movies or TV shows. I doubt it, though, unfortunately, as I look here at the stack of books and just keep thinking that if they did that, that would be awesome. But that's it, guys. That is my, recommendations or my list of wants for books to be turned into movies or TV shows. Y'all have a good one.